I'm delighted that we're joined for the Culture Club today by Dáithí Ó Sé, who has been host since 2010 of the Rose of Tralee, one of Ireland's favourite cultural events. Dáithí, thank you very much for joining us.
It's great to be here, Matt.
It is one of Ireland's leading cultural events. There's some people are snobbish towards it, but you love it because even before you were the presenter, you were very involved in it. And I think you really feel that it does tell an awful lot about Kerry and Ireland.
It certainly does. I suppose I got involved with the Kerry Rose selection first, probably 20 years ago now. So I still go to Kerry to host that because I think there's something endearing about it. There's something that sometimes you have to give back to a community that has given a lot, who has given a lot to you as well. So, and it's something I believe in. Like I remember going to the Rose of Tralee when I was in primary school, and it was always, we went to Tralee to get a pair of pants and a pair of shoes, right, and a jumper
for the new school year.
For the new school year, right, and we got to go to the hurdy-gurdies in Tralee as well. So we'd often see the roses going around Tralee. So that would be one of my earliest memories, and also getting the Kerryman newspaper and with all the roses there, and we always picked one or two while watching the TV show. We always shouted for the Kerry Rose because she was local. We always shouted for the Chicago Rose because my parents were married there for 10 years in the 60s. My eldest brother and sister were born there. My other brother was made there but came out here. So we always had a huge kind of graw for Chicago as well. And now when I married a New Jersey Rose, I kind of have to take that side with me as well.
Sorry, you said your brother was made there and came out here.
Yeah. My parents came home in 1969. So yeah.
Jeez, can you imagine what it would have been like for you though if they'd stayed in Chicago?
Yeah, you'd have peace in the afternoon on RTE maybe. No, it was a thing. My mother never wanted to come home, and my father did. And the majority of my mother and father's brothers and sisters all went to Chicago. I'd have more first cousins and second and third cousins in Chicago than I would in Proshtamore in West Kerry. And in Castleisland, just outside Castleisland, where my mom was from, because they all went there, bar 1, 2 or 3 on either side.
Okay, so your older siblings have American citizenship, whereas you don't.
We all have. No,
we all
have.
Well?
Yeah, we all have because we actually, funnily enough, my grandfather, my father's father, went to America around 1920. So that could tell you one of the reasons why he might have left Ireland that time in 21. So he became a citizen over there, and he claimed my father, and then my mother went from her side then as well. Her mother was in Chicago as well. Her mother knew my father's father in Chicago separately.
You're starting to confuse me now.
But anyway, we're all American citizens, and we were American citizens from day one.
And have you ever lived and worked over there?
No, went over in 94 after doing the Leaving Cert the first time, and the plan was kind of to stay there because my brother Danny was living there at the time. And so I lived there for a few months at a time, but that's it really.
All right. Okay, I'll get back to some more of those stories of your past as we go through your Culture Club selections. And music is a major part of your life, isn't it?
Always, yeah.
Explain a little bit about the cultural thing with music, traditional Irish music in the West of Kerry and your involvement in that.
Well, like to be honest, so we grew up with music in the house first of all because my father played the accordion. And so he drove a truck during the day, and then at night then he played music. So during the summer, West Kerry being an important hub for tours, it was compared to what it is now, it's totally different of course, but my father would have played music a few nights a week there. So there was always music in the house, but not alone that, there was always music all around the place. It was in school with us, and if you went into the local pubs as well, say 17, 18, 19, there was always music there. Everyone could dance a set, and if they were stuck for a set, you were pulled in as a 17 and 18-year-old. So by the time you were 20, you knew how to dance a set. And it was just good fun as well. And everybody seemed to be having a good time. There was no one looking into their phones. Everybody was talking to each other. So the music was always a huge part of it. But then, like, say, it's like when your father plays trad music, like you want to go the other direction altogether.
But hang on, didn't you sing as well?
I sang for a while, Matt. I did, but I suppose I didn't sing really until I was maybe around 18 or 19. And
that's very late to come to it, isn't it?
It was really, it was. And I was singing songs in Irish as well at the time. And it's something that, like, I really didn't appreciate trad music really until I was in my late teens, early 20s. It's again, like, there's music at home, there's music all around you. And I'll kind of go the other direction. So I'd have went towards Guns N' Roses.
Oh, we're going to get to that, believe me,
But see, what I saw then you had Cooney and Begley, right? Seamus Begley and Steve Cooney came together with this album called Mehel in 93, I think, right? And them, to me, they were like West Kerry's Guns N' Roses because they were just fully charged. It was all, there was none of this kind of slow music or anything, but it was all really hard-hitting polkas and slides. And I suppose in one sense, that's what kind of brought me back into trad music and began to sing that time as well.
Are you a good singer?
I wasn't a bad singer before, but Matt, I haven't sang a song in around 10 years. I realised that I just couldn't do it all. Like I used to sing with Seamus Begley a lot, and another man called Lawrence Courtney. We sang as the Three Fivers. We weren't the Three Tethers. We were demoted. So, but we sang under that for a while. Like we sang with the Chieftains on an album called Water from the Well that was actually nominated for a Grammy, which was a cool thing. But like I'd only one verse in one song.
It's enough.
I was still there. It's one of my claims to fame. And then we used to sing a good bit after that. But I'm on TV.
You must have been a good singer. So.
I wasn't bad. I won't lie to you. I wouldn't like.
Carry man being modest, just like Maurice Fitzgerald or David Clifford weren't bad footballers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it at the time. But like when you're on TV all the time, you say like you're performing all the time. But then when you go to the pub, then you go for a few pints, and then you're asked to sing again. And I felt like I was performing all the time, and then I felt like I had nothing at all inside in the tank, and I was just empty. And then, like, it was a kind of a realisation, maybe around 10 or 12 years ago, like, do you know what, lad, you just can't do it all. And I was kind of peed off with myself about that, because when you're kind of late 20s, early 30s, you think you can do it all. And this was the first time that I said, you know what, lad, you just can't do it all, because you don't have enough energy then, or to spach, or the spark you need to go on TV every day, particularly with the Today Show. Like, we do 160 shows a year at 2.25 hours. You need to be full on for that, and that takes up a lot of your energy. And I just realised that I couldn't go to the pub and sing. I just didn't have it in me.
Okay, first single that you remember buying?
It was The Voyage by Christy Moore, and I suppose we all remember. I don't know. You might know what they're called. You know those small little discs. It was on vinyl as well, and the other side then was the Brendan Voyage as well, which was all about West Kerry and Dingle as well, and Brendan. So I really liked both of them. But I suppose my brother Danny was living at home at that stage, and he had one of these big what you call it, the players that you put them on, the vinyl players, right? And I could only listen to it when he was gone to work, because I wasn't allowed into his room. And I remember being there. This was just the best thing ever, like listening to Christy Moore singing The Voyage, and actually being in a place that you weren't supposed to be at that very early age as well. So, but like that, we played it over and over and over again.
Let's hear a little bit of it, so.
I'm 16 again, but it's just I just think I love the beat of it. I love just the whole rock and roll of Guns N' Roses at the time.
And did you ever get to see them live?
Got to see them live in 1992. I was born in 76, so I was 15, and myself and a friend of mine from school in Dingle, Shane Whelan, I used to work in a meat counter in Garvey's in Dingle those weekends, right, when I was in secondary school, and I saved up the money to buy the ticket. I think the ticket was something like £27.50. Plus booking fees, which was around £30, which was a fortune at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And then you had to get the bus into Tralee and the train from Tralee to Dublin, and then we met friends of his who were in boarding school, and one girl had a farm close to Slane, and we all slept inside in the hay shed, and there was every kind of thing going on inside in the hay shed. Anyway, the weather was beautiful during the day, which meant it was very, very cold at night. And these two anyway were having a good time. We were all outside freezing. I said, "Gee, will they ever hurry up inside there?" My man thought he was the Rocket Queen inside in the van. I said, "Come on, no lads." So anyway, they finished what they were doing anyway. So we all got to go to sleep inside the hay shed. And again, sure, like, there may have been a bottle of cider drank, but like, we wouldn't have the money for it that time, Jerry. You might have had one flagon of cider for the whole weekend, and we had to make it last.
And the concert itself? The
concert itself was unbelievable. There was a band called My Little Funhouse from Kilkenny that signed with Geffen at the time as well, who Guns N' Roses were with, and rumours were going around that these were the next big thing. So we made sure we were in for that. And then Faith No More played after them.
Oh, they were great bands.
They were absolutely fantastic. And then, like, it was probably all I can remember that day about the weather, that there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was roasting. And then Guns N' Roses came out with Night Train, and it just the start of that, and they just sang through the whole thing. We danced through the whole thing. It was just one of those times in my life where I look back, and because I often kind of go on YouTube to see if anyone else has put up clips, and actually I went on there last week, and there's only one clip, which was an RTE news item. I was on a show called Charity Eurostar around 20 years ago, and the first song I sang was Sweet Child of Mine. Now, it was a mixture of Guns N' Roses, the Saw Doctors, and Cotton Eye Joe singing Sweet Child of Mine.
Could have go at it again.
No. As one fellow told me, I'm not within 14 pints of it.
So tell me, what music do you listen to now, though? Because you do a lot of driving, particularly because you live in Galway, but the Today Show is done daily down in Cork, and you commute So what sort of music do you listen to when you're in the car?
It could be anything from Andrea Bocelli, Axl Rose, Bon Scott, Seamus Begley. It can be anything, just a cross section.
Geez, that's an eclectic mix.
Yeah, and you know that's what I like about it, because there's some days I get up and I just want to hear Bon Scott or Axl Rose, and another day I just want to hear Seamus Begley. There's a day that I want to hear Martin Hayes all day long, and the next day I don't want to listen to Martin Hayes today. I want to listen to someone else, and that's just, I've always been like that for some reason.
You have gone for, I think is definitely the most popular movie in this spot. You have also gone, like many others, for The Shawshank Redemption. Why so?
Do you know, again, it's the end of the movie that always catches me. I probably saw the movie maybe for the last time, maybe around 2 months ago. And still, when the two guys meet each other on the beach, even still after 20-something years, probably almost 30 years now, right? It still catches me, as in the two lads are back together. And I suppose it's the underdog getting the one up on the big guys at the end. Like there are certain scenes that come on, I can't watch them. I'll actually go out and put on a cup of tea and come back in. I don't want to watch them. And it's just, even like, say, when it starts turning for him, when they're on top, when they're putting the tar on the roof of the building, and he tells the screw, or whatever they're called, the guy in prison, say, look, you don't have to do that. You can give this to your wife as a present. And then all of a sudden everything changes for Andy Dufresne. And then it's just his journey as well then. I suppose. But
sorry, there are moments you can't watch.
Yeah, do you know those scenes where bad things happen to Andy Dufresne? I just can't watch them.
So you go out and make a cup of tea?
I go out and make a cup of tea. I know when they're coming, especially when he's down doing the laundry, and I said, oh geez, I can't watch this. I have to go out, and I'll come back in again for the parts. Like, and it's Morgan Freeman's voiceover. It's Morgan Freeman then kind of following him down to Bucks County, getting the tin box under the tree and looking around what's going on here. Like, say, and then there's a point where he's inside in the room where Brooks was before, where Brooks carved out his name, and Brooks came to a very sad end there, and you think, oh my God, Morgan Freeman's going to do the same thing. Then you realise he's not. He's going to go after Andy Dufresne. And it's just that meeting of the two of them on the beach. It still catches me. It's just, like I said, there's no words or anything. The camera's pulling away. The two guys meet each other on the beach. Andy Dufresne is doing up an old boat, and they embrace. And it's just that moment going,
damn, that's not the scene we have, unfortunately. Gee, you built it up so well, and we've a different scene that we've got. Okay, give us your favourite play.
Favourite play is Juno and the Paycock by Sean O'Casey. It was one of those things I actually, one of my fond memories of secondary school, a place that I didn't really want to be for a whole lot of time, even though I'm back to become a teacher for a small while, which doesn't make any sense at all. But, and again, like say, English was a thing, I suppose, that I'd have struggled with, in one sense that, see, I suppose we were brought up in English and Irish, and we went to, the school was all in Irish and everything. But for some reason, like say with the plays and poetry and everything, I just wasn't doing well at all in it. And so I had to get a C in pass to get into college, and that was it. And we had this teacher then that I got on well with, and that was the play we did for the Leaving Cert, Juno and the Paycock by Sean O'Casey. And he was so good and so animated at doing the characters that it just the play came to life in front of me. And then after I went to see it a few times in the Abbey, and I was just blown away by the story. Like I say, I have a huge interest in history as well, and that's all in there as well, and the social history of Dublin at the time as well. And it's just the characters that were created, and like say Juno, and then the Paycock himself, and then of course Joxer was a big huge a character in there as well. And do you remember Huey from Fair City actually played Joxer? And this was a good 15 years ago now. And I said, oh geez, he's too young now to be playing Joxer. But man, he came out as Joxer. Everything I thought Joxer would look like, he looked as Joxer. And so that's the play that I'd go to see every week if I could.
You have a great book that you selected as your favourite. It was Ghosted by Vincent Hogan. You've picked Paul McGrath's book Back from the Brink, which was one of the best sports books of recent decades.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be the biggest soccer fan. I don't follow any soccer teams across the water or anything. My young fella came home a few months ago and he said he wanted to support Liverpool. I said that's fine, but you have to support your own team first. You have to support Galway United. If you support Galway United, you can support Liverpool. And to be fair to him, he's a 9-year-old and he got it.
Okay, good.
He said, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. So we're going to the Galway United games. So now he's changed from Liverpool to Manchester City to Manchester United to Paris Saint-Germain, and he's enjoying them all.
But he's sticking with Galway United.
He's sticking with Galway United. But I suppose I grew up, I was 14 for Italian 90. And say, I'd have always followed the likes of Paul McGrath, say the Irish players. I was always very interested, like Roy Keane, Frank Stapleton, Kevin Moran as well, a GA player going off to play for Man United. This is unbelievable stuff. So we were always following Paul McGrath, and then I read his book, and I was just blown away by it. I didn't know what to expect. I wouldn't have heard half the stories that came out in the book. Like the day he was walking past Old Trafford, and he was out walking around the place, and he said 10 years before he'd been inside there, he was the king inside there. And now he was walking past the gates of Old Trafford, no one inside there, walking the streets on his own. And just to get an insight into the man that we looked up so much to, and we still do, but not realising what he was going through at the time, and all the big games he played, and like he was always the big man back there. And I'll never forget, I was down the road here in the Gaiety Theatre, actually at the Bull McCabe, watching the Field. And next, Rita was only over about, she'd only moved over around 6 months at that stage. Like,
this is your wife?
This is my wife, yeah. So, like, she grew up in an Irish American household. She knew all about the soccer teams and everything. And next second I said, "Jeez, there's Paul McGrath's coming over. Paul McGrath's coming over." And Paul McGrath put out his hand and said, "Dáithí, how are you?" And I was like, "Huh?" I froze, like. I said, "Jesus, it's Paul McGrath," like, you know. And like I was just totally blown away by him. Like he's just such a character, and he's just such a nice, beautiful, humble man. And again, just to read his book, I was just glued to it and everything he went through. And as I was reading it, I was going back through all those matches and everything, saying Italian 90, you know, 94 in America, playing the big games with Manchester United and all this. You go, wow, what a guy, like, you know. So that book has really stood out. I mean, like, I read that book must have been 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. We've one last thing which we'll play out on. Yeah. We asked for a buried treasure, and you've mentioned Seamus Begley a number of times, and you've picked out for us him singing The Early Morning Rain. Yeah.
This was a song, like, say, we'd have all been used to Seamus singing Irish songs, Shannon songs and folk songs, say, in Irish. But this was the first time I really heard him singing a song in English. And then you're thinking, geez, this is really, really nice. And it just showed me that he could sing anything. He could, like, say, if you mentioned the word to Seamus about the television, he could sing 10 songs with the word television inside. And he just one of these memories of songs that I don't know how he got his head around all this, but he started singing In the Early Morning Rain. He came out in an album with Jim Murray, I think 2001. And it was it was like, say, people would remember Gordon Lightfoot.
Who died recently.
Who died a few months ago, and he just had a kind of a country twang to, but Seamus kind of West Kerryised it in a way that only Seamus Begley could, and then him and Jim Murray together, and this was, I suppose, his next big album after being playing with Cooney, Seamus with Steve Cooney a good few years before it, and this track was on it, and you said, "Oh my God!" It just blew me away. I just thought it was brilliant altogether. Just Seamus singing and the music, and just the scene he set while he was singing the song.
Well, would you know that this album apparently is no longer available to buy, download or stream? We managed to find the version of YouTube of him singing The Early Morning Rain with Jim Murray on guitar from 2001. We'll play out in it.
Yeah.
Dáithí Ó Sé, it has been fantastic having you for the
Culture
Club. Thank you so much. Enjoy the Rose of Tralee Festival. I think you always do, and certainly. You will. And we know Captain Thomas will be alongside you this year as well, next Monday and Tuesday night. And we look forward to seeing you for many years at it.
The Last Word with Matt Cooper.
Today FM.
It all happens here.